So excited, Chicho, to have you on the We Rise podcast today. Welcome. Been looking forward to our conversation. Will you introduce yourself so folks know who I have
Mhm.
the delight of talking to today?
Ole, thank you. I'm Chicho Lorenzo, and I live in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I
Mm-hmm.
do mostly painting or drawing, and a lot of murals, public art, and painting walls in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to paint with people and to have people involved with it.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
that is cool.
And so I met Chicho just for background for folks listening at Chicho taught at a school that our kids attended, and there's this the same time there is this big expanse of concrete that spanned the corner of two very prominent streets in Charlottesville. So we live in the same town, and I always had this wondering about what would be amazing to do there. And to my great delight and joy, Chicho created the most fabulous mural on this long expanse of concrete by these two roads. And I've been forever grateful for you, Chicho, because I see that mural every day and it brings me great joy. Can you talk about how did you get into doing art and murals? Did you draw as a kid? Has art always been a part of your life?
So the about when I started doing art, I've been all my life. When I was a kid, I was drawing all the time. I learned how to ride a bike at 18, things like that. So I was even like when I was on my 20s, I realized, man, I'm getting my back is is I'm getting like a humbug because I was all the time
Right.
leaning on my
Yeah.
book. And so I drew all my life. When I
Mm-hmm.
was about 22, and I started going to, I mean, I moved to a different house out of my parents' house uh, with a bunch of people in a very party house.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started just doing the same. Okay, I'm drawing, but I can draw on the walls of the house. I can draw
Uh-huh.
on the door. I
Huh.
can. So I started using paint, and
Mm-hmm.
then I realized, oh, I can paint on canvas, and I started
Mm-hmm.
making uh, paintings and having exhibitions,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden I realized, oh, I'm an artist.
Uh-huh.
It
Right.
wasn't a decision. It
Mm-hmm.
was life brought me to do art. The
Mm-hmm.
same with murals. When in Spain, I painted a couple things that could be considered as a mural. But when I moved here to Charlottesville on 2008, the I got a commission, a mural. A couple of friends told me, "Can you paint a mural about Charlottesville in this long wall in their basement?" And
Mm-hmm.
I never paint such a big thing. I just moved to town, so I had to do my research,
Uh-huh. Right.
and uh, and the mural is still there. They sold the house under the condition that the mural was respected.
Oh, I love that.
Uh, yeah,
I love that. I love
and
that.
it's at the end of of Locust Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
and so the same with murals. I painted that. Then the second one was at Venable School,
Mm-hmm.
and then little by little, life direct me to paint murals. People heard about, oh, you paint murals, so I want a mural. And somehow I found myself painting large scale on houses. That
Uh-huh.
is
I
funny
love
how
it.
life guides you
It
here
is.
or there. Hmm.
And I love how you said, Chicho, that it emerged for you. It's not, you one day you said, "Oh, I guess I'm an artist." It was just something that sounded like a becoming almost. Take us back a little bit more and tell us a little bit more about your story growing up.
Uh-huh.
Where was your community? What was your growing up like?
Yeah, I grew up in Madrid city in a very city atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
and, fortunately, my father, who is an industrial engineer, he's about machines, but he is also an artist,
Mm-hmm.
and he always had, and I have two sisters and one brother, and we always had art supplies and musical instruments at home, And my father encouraged that
Mm-hmm.
creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And actually now he's 88, and it's not about machines yet, I mean, anymore. But he has that discipline of the engineer with the creativity of the
Oh,
artist. So
interesting.
he's a
Uh-huh.
and he creates a lot. He produces all, like every day. He draws. He mostly draws,
Uh-huh.
and so yeah, I had that motivation, and uh, and that actually is what I one of my the main community work that I have for myself as a mission is, okay, not everybody is as lucky as I was to have a
Mm,
peaceful house with a motivational and supporting
right.
parents. So what about if I take that role for
Hmm.
children and for adults?
Hmm. I love
And
that.
I realized that that's easy to, to keep. It's just about enthusiasm. It's just about
Mm, yeah.
enjoying my creativity, my art time, and enjoying to transmit that.
I love that.
Mhm.
Chicho, can you talk a little bit about, I love that, the enthusiasm and how you transmit that. And every time I see you, you do have this glowing, radiating smile. I was thinking about you earlier today. I almost feel like singing when I see you. You have this effervescent energy that's always bubbling over. And I know that,
Oh,
we generate the energy that we bring often. It's something that we can create if we choose to. What does that look like for you? Is this an energy that you're always feeling, or is it just your way of being? Or
uh-huh.
talk a little bit more about how you cultivate that enthusiasm with community too, if you would.
Uh-huh. So um, I meditate. I meditate since more than 10 years ago, a Vipassana meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 2 hours a day, which is a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it feels not enough.
Yeah.
But I don't want, sometimes when I say it's not enough, it's like, well, during those times that it's not enough, I'm probably struggling with something, but
Mm.
also thinking, well, it's not all about meditation. I need to live also. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's like, hey, wait, if I dedicated 2 hours already, um, meditation is not, for me at least, it's not a, a remedy for happiness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy if I meditate, or I'm happy if I don't. But I can see that the main thing that meditation does is just seeing that if I'm not happy, I will be happy later. This is just
Mm-hmm.
another state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Something, there's two things to talk about it in a very practical way. A friend recently, uh, I thought, whoa, I'm feeling today like this and blah, blah, blah. And it was just after a weekend that I had. It was mostly partying.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
fun, but I
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of socializing.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, well, the same as a child, when he's tired, is screaming and crying, you are the same. You are in that position. It's simply that
Mm-hmm.
you're not a child, so you're not screaming and crying, but you feel. Uh, and I thought, wow, that is awesome. If I
Mm-hmm.
think about myself like that, which is everybody, we all get
Mm-hmm.
our bases can
Mm-hmm.
be
Mm-hmm.
full, and it's like, okay, I have too much. So if I see myself that way, and I treat myself with compassion, I would treat a child. Uh, I just say, okay, it's a child. He's tired. It's okay. He can scream. He can cry today.
Mm-hmm.
It's I mean, at any point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll allow myself better. Another thing is I had this idea that is it's not necessarily true or not true. It's just an idea that happiness is a shared asset. So
Mm-hmm.
we all share this.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
If I'm happy all the time, there's somebody who's lacking that happiness. So it wouldn't be fair. So if I'm sad, I think, oh, okay, somebody is having my portion of happiness. Good for them. And that somehow makes more bearable whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, but yeah, I had people telling me, well, people think that you're always happy,
Mm.
and it's not true. I have my smile, and I love my smile, but many times I found myself thinking, oh, I'm smiling, and this is not really a happy moment. Why am I smiling?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it has also some muscle reaction.
The reflex. I love that.
But yeah, I'm mostly positive because it's a I think it's just the best way to live.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
Yeah.
positive with whatever happens, well, it's not what I want, it's not what I choose, but it's the best I have. No,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
that's
So you're choosing it. So I hear that you're choosing the positivity. I also hear that your meditation practice, your vipassana practice, is key to just recognizing that the different states that you feel are just that. They're passing states, and they'll come and they'll go. And I love the happiness is a community asset. That's such a beautiful phrase. When you think or feel, Chicho, into your work with community, and particularly the way that you create art, can you talk about what that looks like? I don't know how that, if there's an infusing of the positivity intentionally that you bring into the process, but how do you engage people in creating art? And how do you work with people who feel like they don't have any capacity to do art, who say, I want to
uh-huh.
do art, but I don't know how to do it? How do you bring that enthusiasm into your work at the
Yeah,
broader scale?
uh-huh. So I think when many children, I work a lot with children, and many are like, oh, but I'm, I don't draw or paint as
Mm-hmm.
well as you. And like
Mm.
when I'm 52, and I've been doing this all my life,
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of experience. So I tell them, if you keep doing this, you're gonna be better than me. Probably.
Uh-huh.
Uh, of course, there's always I did it that much because the circumstances, but also because of my call.
Mm.
That not
Mm-hmm.
everybody has the call to dedicate so much time to art. Other people has other calls, and they do whatever they do better than me. And but I base my art in mutual inspiration. That means that I don't really take credit. I take credit just for that dedication and that uh, time that I put on my practice to learning techniques and whatever. But whatever comes, whatever motives, the topics of my work, I I mostly don't understand them. I don't know what I'm painting. I don't know what I'm drawing. I leave that to the people that sees them. For me, is this, but for you, can be something totally different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also, uh, that mutual inspiration makes it always interactive somehow. When I'm drawing, I love the people. Many people is like, "Oh, you're the artist, so I don't say anything." What I actually love when people tell me, "Oh, why don't you do this like that?" or "Can you include this?" I may include it or not, but I
Mm-hmm.
love that input, and so that is that mutual inspiration radically, but also afterwards, as I said, the interpretation of it, the oh, I see how you painted that thing. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize.
Right,
I
yeah.
love to put the so that in in murals, you can imagine how uh, intense is that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, During painting the murals, that one, that the cement block, the cement wall on Barracks with the 29,
Mm-hmm.
I had people every 10 minutes uh, telling me from good job to hey, why don't you add this? Uh, Lots of comments, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot. And also I had people like doing graffiti
Mm-hmm.
that I included in the mural
I remember
in
that.
two occasions, which is like that is the collaboration. It's coming
Mm-hmm.
from all ways and all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So and I hope it goes back. You know, that mural inspires people in their own way in their own lives.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When you talk about the mutual inspiration and the openness to what people want to bring, I think it's so powerful. I remember when one of the graffiti moments happened and you built it in and you made it happen. I think there's also an element of how it didn't happen anymore. It seemed like once you integrated some of the graffiti in and people felt like
Uh-huh.
maybe they were part of it, it didn't continue happening. Can you talk more about the role of community and creating art and people feeling like they have the capacity to create art or to create community? What does that mutual inspiration look like at the mural scale or beyond? Does that make sense?
I think so. I
Okay.
mean, I have things. So as I said, I dedicate my time, and I have that call to do art, to paint.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do. But other people do other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they do that other stuff, which we can call their art. Some
Mm-hmm.
people sell things very well. Some people do computers. Um, I hope that my art inspire them to do their own art, and that is my idea of harmony. If everybody does what they like and are open for that flow of things moving around, uh, that should work theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I
So
love that.
in my murals, I try everybody to feel included uh,
Mm-hmm.
from the starting. Um, Not only, for example, the mural at Mas Tapas, uh, I had the Tom Festival, I had Mas Tapas and commissioning it. So it was for them,
Mm-hmm.
but I included I included the neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody passed by on a wheelchair and stopped, and it's a neighbor. He lives there, so it's like, hey, you're gonna see this, and I'm painting this floating banquet. Everybody's floating, but the farmer.
Mm-hmm.
So I paint him, and I thought,
Mm-hmm.
well, he doesn't need a wheelchair because he's floating.
Uh-huh.
So well, like
Yeah.
suddenly that makes the step. That's another cool concept for art. It's like it makes reality. It's the first. I mean, the first step is imagining.
Mm.
But if you can reflect it, the dreams. Uh, Suddenly, this guy was floating there with no need of a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy who was there, he told me, my mother always wanted me to have a farm. So in the back, there's a small barn with him there. And he saw it and they were like, Ma, I have a farm. I have a farm.
Yeah.
That that is the mutual inspiration. It's like
Mm-hmm.
let's make dreams come true.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's so easy with art. Like, yeah, I can include this. um uh, uh, my art is also special in terms of I don't necessarily make sketches, or I don't respect those sketches,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
which means that is open for that. It is open
Mm-hmm.
for oh, here is this. Let's include it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that makes things alive
Mm-hmm.
somehow. I don't know if that answers
It
your
does. It
question.
does. It sounds like, yeah, I hear that you're also open to the moment, to what presents itself, to the new opportunity, to engaging people where they are. I love that. One of the, a lot of the work that I do is at the community scale. And when people envision their future, whether that's through talking about what they want to see in their community or really literally envision it, there's a light that sparks in people, and they can actually see what something might look like and they find like, oh, you're excited about that. I'm excited about that. And there's I've heard Brene Brown. I can't remember the original person who said that, but collective effervescence. I just love that term so
I
much.
love it. Yeah.
Collective effervescence. But there is a sense of, that growing enthusiasm, which I do think can be cultivated, um, that I see in communities grows out. Chicho, can you talk a little bit about what you've seen in your work in Charlottesville or in Spain or other places about your work with community and how art can or not create change and
Mhm.
transformation within communities? What have you seen over time?
Yeah. The one place that I have specially worked with the community was the XR Park. I was there for 2 years with Brian Weimer and and Ludwig. But from the starting, the XR Park for me was the was a home, an incubator for possibility, and it was that the what do you want? You have all the possibilities in the world. Here we can make whatever we want. We can travel to space because suddenly we make a space here, and so that was and we did it in many aspects. We just reached out. People reached out to us with specific dreams or projects or just saying, hey, can I help? Can I get involved? I'm like, sure, let's mix, let's put things in the pot and see what happens. We don't have any idea. It may explode, it may whatever, but things are exploding. And definitely what you said about the enthusiasm, the collective effervescence, that when one person share their dream, that is inspiring for everybody. It's just about passion. I don't know what. Oh, I watched recently a documentary on Netflix about drummers. I don't remember how. Count Me In, I think is the name. And it's drummers. I love to play drums, but I'm not necessarily. It wasn't necessarily about even musicians. It was a documentary about people talking about their passion, and it's so inspiring for me to do my own thing. I didn't feel inspired to play drums. I felt inspired to paint because it's my passion. So is that just sharing that, and also for the people who shares, it's refreshing. Oh, I'm talking about this. Oh, I'm feeling an urge to do it more, to do more than what I. Yes, and so that is that possibility that we have at X. Uh, I, I want to create more that atmosphere, the open for everything that we don't really know what the results are. And talking about that, a while ago before X, Chris Bowmaster, another artist in town, and a friend, he gave me a book called Bohemian Paris about the 20s, 30s in Paris, in Montmartre, specifically in that neighborhood, where every artist wanted to be, and most of them were there. Picasso, Matisse, surrealistics, lots of people. So, of course, it seems ideal. It's like, oh, I want to be to Paris. So, where is Paris today? And we had that conversation since 10 years ago. I've been having that conversation a lot. People told me, it's in New Zealand, it's in Berlin, it's online. There's many possibilities that at the end, the conclusion, and I think I arrived to a conclusion like, okay, that I think this is it. Paris is whatever you make it. So Paris right now is here with you and sharing enthusiasm. That is what makes that Paris. The whoa, inspiration. You want inspiration? Yeah, you can go. Of course, I have inspiration if I go and see a museum. But if I talk about the passion, I'm reminding myself what what my passions are, and also I'm uh, sharing both ways that enthusiasm, and so I hope Paris Paris
Yeah.
gets wider because this is contagious. Right now, your enthusiasm that you're transmitting to me, I will put it in my paintings, or I will go somewhere and share it with someone, and it
I love that.
spreads. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
Chicho, what do you think? You talked about the kind of the potential of the X project, and where it almost you talked about going into it not knowing what the outcome would be, almost going into it with a sense of uncertainty and openness and welcoming things. That's hard for people to sit with sometimes. Uncertainty, the unknown. And yet that's where so much of beauty comes from, is being able to sit with uncertainty and sit with the unknown. How do you, if you could, one of my teachers says this a lot, if you could wave your magic wand, what kind of community spaces would you like to see? Would you like to create? If you were to create, either community scale art or places where people could sit in the uncertainty and bring their enthusiasm and beauty together, what would you like to create in the future?
Uh-huh. That's that's an amazing question. Thank you. And so, uh, um, ta, 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 ta. So my favorite place that I think I even thought the other day, it would be amazing if we can have this in airports. Airports that have a place to smoke or a place to pray, and it's cool to have those places. But and I know if you're on a trip, I may even not feel like, oh, I'm going to paint, uh, but
But you might.
but actually airports would be a cool place because it's a mix of people from different cultures, from different, so that will make it ideal. But my favorite place that I think the art place is open for that uncertainty, so people feel comfortable, sit comfortable with that uncertainty. Is a big canvas, and whoever can paint whatever at any moment. And that is hard. That is even hard for me. This artist who gave me the Bohemian Paris book, we are having now an exhibition at the bridge, and we've been for 5 months painting together. So we decided, okay, let's have this exhibition as a collaboration. And Chris paints mostly not drawing, but big strokes, and it can be interpreted this way or that. And I paint clean lines and my color here and another color there. I knew it was going to be challenging, but it was more than I expected because I painted something and we have no rules. So he could flip the canvas upside down and even cover what I painted.
Oh, interesting. Right.
Exactly. And he did. And I did too. So I was like, okay, this is getting challenging because hey, my drawing, I was excited about that, and now it's gone. That was a beautiful exercise at losing control. We have lots of we keep control of many things, of our children, of our uh, belongings, of many things that that make this fake idea that we have control over our lives, and and it's not. Suddenly, something like the COVID comes, and they're like, "Oh, wait, I cannot control that." So the art is a beautiful way of building trust, just because trust in life. And to illustrate that, at the beginning of the pandemic, when the isolation started, I broke up with my girlfriend. 6 years of a relationship. It was hard for me. I was like, what a stupid decision. I mean, it wasn't a decision, but what a stupid thing that now that we're gonna get isolated, I isolate myself even double. It was hard, but it had taught me a lot of things. I could manage to learn other things that I wouldn't have. I mean, I just made the best out of it with trust. It's just trust in life. Is I actually, I mean, for those who read the Bible, there's a passage of the Bible I know in Spanish. Los caminos del Señor son inescrutables. The ways of of God are we have no clue about it. So how to you can direct yourself. It's like when I said before, yeah, I was painting and then somebody then my life direct me to paint more or whatever. Yes, and also I paint because I like to paint because I wanted to go that way. But yeah, it's a combination of knowing what you want, and that includes a lot of sharing, like imagining sharing it, and then trust that things may seem to go totally different. And we all know when we have the things clear, at the end we usually get it.
We usually get the direction we want to head in.
Yeah, if you just relax and I mean we all know the secret. Sometimes it's difficult to follow it. So with art, it's very easy. I draw every day, and when I'm drawing, I don't have any clue of what I'm drawing. I many times I don't like it, and I just finish it. And at the end, many times that I didn't like it, at the end I love it.
You stayed with it.
Yeah, just
I love, just the process of the trust in life. I had a recent kind of experience or awakening where I realized over a specific situation, I was really trying to control things really hard for a really long time. And it didn't work. And, I've learned this lesson again and again, but I had to release any sense of control and any sense of, defensive parts of me trying to keep me safe. Because I was, fear was at the part of it. So when those defense structures dissolved, and I was able to connect into my heart space, I had to ultimately trust. I had to let go and ultimately trust. And I think to go back to the mural on Barracks Road, that's one of the things that struck me so much at the time, Chicho, was noticing that, you just welcomed what presented itself. You were painting the mural and someone did graffiti, and instead of bracing against it and getting angry and resisting, you're like, well, how am I going to integrate this, what's presented itself, into the situation at hand, and how am I going to use it into what I create? And it was so striking to me at that time, the welcoming. And I think of that a lot these days of, the welcoming and even welcoming, you talked about the collaborative experience with the artist at the bridge recently, what could be considered pain, maybe, something you've worked on being painted over, when you release it or feel it, notice what comes up and say, well, what am I going to do with this? And stay true to the process of letting what arises in the moment arise. So beautiful. So yeah, I just love it. So thank you for bringing that. So, Chicho, I just want to bring it back to you a little bit. You've talked about this some, but I'd love to hear, and before I started recording, I talked about joy just a little bit and touching into what brings people joy. You've talked about it some, but what does bring you joy in your life?
Definitely people. I'm a people's person. I love to be. I love to see people. I love to mm, I gave up with the trying to understand. I realized I don't understand myself. What am I doing trying to understand others? But so being around people, it brings me joy just to to, to, to share whatever, to share moments of pain, which was that is not new, but like I remember like 20 years ago, I shared for first time, I was able to share pain.
Mm.
Until then, I was just, oh, why am I going to share pain? That just makes people sad. So I just share joy.
Mm.
And I was joy all the time because
Mm.
the pain was here and I swallow in. And then I share the pain with a friend and I realized, oh, it's not only not making him sad, but also he suddenly we feel a better, a stronger connection, and
Mm-hmm.
he suddenly uh, sees the space for himself to
Mm-hmm.
share.
Yeah.
So suddenly we were happier because of
Mm-hmm.
that,
Yeah.
and so that sharing all aspects in life makes me happy, and there's two main, I would say, tools or resources. That is my art, the drawing or painting by myself with people, whatever aspect, and music.
Mm.
So those are making music. Just in an amateur way, I used to say I'm not a musician. I don't practice enough. I don't know enough, but I have fun with music. I have
Mm-hmm.
the pleasure that a child, that we all have when we are children, and some people just forget. Uh, so I tried to do as my father did, having instruments around
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and sitting with them and having fun as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I know the people when I say yeah, I love to share with people. May not be for everybody. My brother and my daughter both are the, oh, I'm here alone and I'm okay by myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I, as I said, I'm not trying to understand them.
You're just being with them. Yeah. Yeah. I
So
love
yeah,
that.
definitely uh, that community, but the community almost I approach community almost as an alien that has arrived to a different planet,
Mm-hmm.
and everything is new. So
Mm-hmm.
everything is like, oh, oh, and and I
I
like
love
that
that.
that
I love
that
that.
child
Yeah.
is as which is also for art and music. It's like, let's be a child. Let's keep that child mind,
Mm-hmm.
which is not irresponsible. I take care of my children. I take care of my life. But uh, but yeah, when I play, and I want to play the most as possible. When I play, let's play.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Yeah.
relax and
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah. I love that. Just dropping into it. I love that. So on the you talked about this a little bit with your practice, but to move into some of our quick roller questions,
Mm-hmm.
Chicho, what keeps you moving forward on the days you struggle?
Aha. Mm-hmm. Uh, I have a, well, first, as I said, trust. I have routines. Routines are important. And I realize that this is a very kind of recent learning. And I realize I work with people with special needs,
Mm-hmm.
and overall with a guy with autism, and he had his routines. And
Mm-hmm.
when his routines were broken, they went weird. He
Mm-hmm.
could get it better or not, but everything was like, whoa, 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 what am
Mm-hmm.
I? Where am I?
Yeah.
So and I realized we are all special needs.
Mhm.
we,
Mhm.
I have asked my son who used to live with me
Mhm.
and bear with my, hey, this is out of, this is not in this place, something like that.
Mhm.
So we all need our routines, our things, our order, our idea of order, and so those routines. I wake up in the morning, I do this, I do that. I try not to be I try not to be strict because
Mhm.
I think it's also healthy to break routines.
Mm. Yeah, a mix.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but to break routines, you have to have the routines, which
Hmm.
means that most of the days I do this.
Yeah, love it. So some routine but
Exactly,
flexibility. Hmm.
exactly. And
Hmm.
one of the routines is before I do I do some salutations in the morning. I say things that I want to that I want in my life. There is a long list, but
Hmm.
includes trust, and that
Hmm.
trust is trust that life is going as it should, and trust myself that I can do it. So that trust is also a big tool for
Hmm.
doing this. And nature. Going, fortunately, we here in Charlottesville, I mean,
Hmm.
look, my backyard.
Beautiful green trees, absolutely. Hmm.
And we have trails all around, lakes where we can kayak. This is amazing.
Hmm.
And going into nature, in any kind of nature, you don't need to have all these trees. You can live in the middle of the desert. Deserts are beautiful wherever you live.
Hmm.
Going into nature brings back and it's not me saying it, I've read it many times, brings back that the natural rhythm.
Hmm.
So having that natural rhythm is like, oh, okay, well, now I now I know that I'm here. I don't need to accelerate or to slow. So yeah,
Reset.
nature.
Reset.
Uh-huh.
I love that. I love that. So true. It does, yeah, just recenter us again. So, Chicho, what key lessons learned would you share with others who are working to create change in community?
Sorry, can you repeat the
Sure.
question?
What key lessons learned? What are the things that you've learned that you would love to share with other people? People who are working in
Uh-huh.
community. What lessons have you learned that you would share with other people?
The main thing that I saw in many people in Spain, we say cada maestrillo tiene su librillo. Is every teacher has their own book, their own system,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and but I saw many times people trying to share, and they do amazing jobs with the thing, their passion. But then sharing it, they share in a way that is, I'm the teacher, I'm the master, and
Mm-hmm.
you're the disciples.
Mm-hmm.
And my system, I'm not saying that is wrong, that everybody
Mm-hmm.
has their own system. My system is when I went to high schools or to have workshop in schools, and people introduce me as, and this is the artist, and I always tell them, I'm one of the I'm one of the
Oh.
artists. Like you
Mm-hmm.
are all the artists,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so so the my main thing that I learned working with people is we are all here about the same. I just practice, as I said before. I draw better because I spent 20 years drawing, and you are 6 year old or whatever. but
Mm-hmm.
in terms of is that if everything gets built by everybody, then it's the real thing. It's the then I'm gonna then I'm also going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
If I
Mm-hmm.
go just to say here is my work and this is my work and blah 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 about my work, then I'm gonna go home the same. I just have less 2 hours left
Mm-hmm.
less, but yeah, I want to enjoy life, and to enjoy life is to, as I said, as an alien that just arrived to this planet. So
I
it's like,
love
hey,
that. I love
let's
that.
share
Keeping that
both ways.
awareness, open-eyed wonder. I love that as you are
Hmm.
moving through life.
But
So,
and, can I say,
yes.
and also that is very very useful for certain occasions. Like when I went for to the Boys and Girls Club a few years ago, I had this art workshop, and I prepare, and I had the specific supplies and plans for it, and I was there the first day, uh, ready, like, okay, the children must be coming very soon, and suddenly a child, like maybe 6 year old, arrived, threw his backpack on the floor, put a slice of pizza on the table, look at me like, what is this thing here? And left running. And I thought,
Oh.
wow, I think I'm gonna have to rethink of anything. So all my plans, put them in the trash.
Oh,
So
I
it's
love it.
that.
Right. You had to meet the moment where it was, and instead of the
Exactly.
yeah the preconceived no yeah.
Mutual inspiration can be whatever the direction.
Or response. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So Chicho, I just such a beautiful conversation today. I love just so deeply what you've shared. How can people learn more about you and your work? We'll include links in the show notes and the episode
Uh-huh.
webpage. Tell us where we can find more about you.
I do. I do something that is also I restarted. I used to do it before, but a few years ago, I used to do it mostly for as promotion for my art.
Mm-hmm.
And during the pandemic, I started posting a drawing like almost daily and
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and Instagram. Uh, and it's yeah, it's a promotion of my art. Of course, I would
Mm-hmm.
love to sell,
Yeah.
then I could keep on going. But mostly it's for connection, for myself, to
Mm-hmm.
because I realized, yeah, the actually social media is a space.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Mm-hmm.
meet people,
Yeah.
uh, but also for that mutual inspiration. I post a drawing, and usually with a sentence or a couple words that may have no relation
Mm-hmm.
at all. Sometimes I put something about being sad, and people ask me, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're feeling sad." And it's like, no, 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 I don't. It was on my drawing today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But so it's not really a reflection of, or a very clear reflection of my mood, but seems they seem to me, and many people told me, they are inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
They make them think in a different way, or give them an idea of resources that they have. So somehow I'm feeling that I'm reaching and producing this mutual inspiration all around.
I love that. I love that. We'll
Uh-huh.
include links to be able to find that. But I love seeing your work. And yeah,
Mhm.
keeps my eyes fresh.
Thank you.
So thank you for that. Anything else you'd like to share today, Chicho, before we get ready to wrap up?
I think that's it.
Awesome.
The thank you, and everybody trust that, exactly, that
Mm-hmm.
people like you doing this, people like me doing that, people like
Mm-hmm.
others doing that is a network. It's not. It's the community is a network. We all are part of. It's like a forest.
Mm-hmm.
We are a leaf, another leaf here, another mushroom there,
Mm-hmm.
and everything makes each other alive.
I love that. Absolutely. And our roots can talk to each other, even though our trees might not be related. I love the just the analogy of also mycelium connecting and in the network. So thank you for the mutual inspiration today during
Dale.
the podcast. So gracias so much, Chicho. It's been so fun to speak with you. So thank you for joining the podcast.
Gracias. More whenever.